Once upon a time, there was a small village nestled deep in the heart of India. The villagers were happy and content, going about their daily lives without a care in the world. But there was one thing that made them all uneasy, a small temple at the edge of the village. The temple was old and decrepit, and nobody knew how long it had been standing there. But there was something eerie about it. Strange noises could be heard coming from within its walls, and a cold wind seemed to blow from its entrance, even on the hottest days. The children of the village were particularly fascinated by the temple. They would gather around it and dare each other to go inside. But nobody ever did, not after the day when one of the village boys disappeared inside and never came out. Rumors began to spread about the temple. Some said it was haunted by the ghosts of ancient warriors, while others claimed it was the abode of a vengeful goddess. But nobody knew for sure, and nobody wanted to find out. One night, a group of children decided to investigate the temple once and for all. They gathered at the entrance, shivering with fear but determined to see what was inside. As they stepped inside, they were hit by a sudden gust of wind. It was so cold, they could see their breaths in the air. And then they heard it, a faint whispering, coming from deep within the temple. The children looked at each other, their hearts pounding. They knew they should turn back, but something was drawing them in. They followed the sound, deeper and deeper into the temple. And then they saw her, a figure draped in white, with long, flowing hair that reached down to her waist. She was standing at the end of a long, dark corridor, beckoning to them with a skeletal hand. The children tried to run, but their legs felt like they were made of lead. The figure grew closer and closer until they could see her face, twisted with rage and hatred. They screamed and screamed, but nobody came to help them. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, it was over. The figure disappeared, and the children were left alone in the temple. They stumbled outside, gasping for air. As they looked back at the temple, they could see a faint glow emanating from within. And they knew they would never be the same again. The children returned to their homes, their hearts still racing with fear. They couldn't believe what they had just experienced. But as the night wore on, they began to notice something strange happening to them. They would hear whispers in their ears, even when there was nobody else around. They would catch glimpses of the figure in white, watching them from the shadows. And they would feel a cold, bone-chilling wind blowing through their rooms. At first, they thought it was just their imagination. But then they began to realize that something was following them, something that had been awakened by their visit to the temple. As the days went by, the children grew weaker and weaker. They would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat and shaking with fear. Their parents tried to console them, but they could sense that something was terribly wrong. And then, one by one, the children started to disappear. Nobody knew where they had gone, they simply vanished without a trace. The village was thrown into chaos, and nobody felt safe anymore. Rumors began to spread once again about the temple. Some said that the figure in white had cursed the children, and they had been taken as sacrifices to appease her anger. Others claimed that the children had been lured into the temple by an evil spirit, and were now trapped there forever. Whatever the truth was, the village was never the same again. The temple remained standing, a dark and foreboding presence at the edge of the village. and the children who had dared to enter it were never seen again, their fate a mystery that would haunt the village for generations to come. Years passed, and the memory of the vanished children faded into legend. The village went on with its daily life, but the temple remained a constant reminder of the horrors that had taken place. One day, a group of travelers came to the village. They were researchers, studying the ancient temples of India, and they were fascinated by the old structure at the edge of the village. As they began to explore the temple, they soon discovered the truth. The temple was not haunted by evil spirits or vengeful goddesses, it was a place of worship, dedicated to a benevolent deity who had protected the village for generations. But something had gone wrong. The villagers had stopped paying tribute to the deity, and in their neglect, they had angered her. The figure in white was not a curse, but a warning, a reminder that the deity would not be ignored. The researchers realized that they had to do something to set things right. They organized a ceremony of atonement, and the villagers came together to ask for forgiveness.